Good morning, folks. Why don't you go ahead and take your seats, because we'll be starting here now. One thing I'd like to mention right off the bat, for those folks who have today's newspaper, it's up at the counter in the Tampa Bay Times. Absolutely fantastic story about our conference. It goes into what yeah. The reporter that worked on this, Justine, worked very closely with our staff, Deb Pelez, and did a series of interviews for the week prior to coming down here, and then was actually on site the first day, talked to a lot of you folks. There are a lot of great insights on what patients are thinking about and the different things that we all talked about here. And we have gone ahead and moved that out on social media and online all night last night, including 1 o'clock in the morning. So this morning's session, the first one, is a very popular one, and I think it will make you think twice about some of the things that maybe you want to stop and eat, or maybe sometimes that people around you eat, but it's a rather important point to pay attention to. It's called Nutrition 101, and we have two guests with us that are good friends of AAKP. Our first one is, and they'll come up together, Chef Oliver Hale. He's better known as Chef O. He had dreams of becoming a pro tennis player. However, 2 weeks after winning the 1983 U.S. Tennis Association 5-state finals, his life changed drastically. He became hospitalized due to his kidney failure. However, he felt this was a sign that it happened for a reason, and he took a very different course. Chef O went on to become a trained culinary chef, host of his own local cooking show, and was twice voted best chef and second best chef in his home state of Grand Rapids, or home state of Michigan, in the great city of Grand Rapids. Chef O's mission in life is simple: to help people. He works to teach those living with kidney disease how to cook healthy, delicious meals. And I have to tell you, they're not stale and they're not bad. They're actually fantastic, and he has that sense about him. Our other guest is Barry Smith, and Barry Smith is a longtime friend of AAKP. He is the president and CEO of our allied organization, the Rogerson Institute, up in New York, and he's the director of its Dreyfus Health Foundation Division. He's a professor of clinical surgery at Weill Cornell Medical College and attending physician at the New York Presbyterian Weill Cornell Medical Center. He has a BA from Harvard. He has a PhD in biology and neurobiology from MIT, and he has his MD from Cornell University Medical College. He's been with Massachusetts General Hospital. He's been with the National Institutes of Health as the Deputy Chief of Surgical Neurology, and he's been involved in setting new standards for patient care. And when I say this, this is exactly what I mean. A lot of people talk about what is patient input and what is patient feedback and how do you capture that, and then actually translate it into better services and better care. The Rogerson Institute and Barry have actually set a completely different standard for how this is done. And if you ever have an opportunity to go up into New York City, I'm sure that Barry would welcome you. It's a stunning team. They get what wraparound service means. They get all the things about early interventions, preemptive transplant, effective dialysis care catered to you, and post-care. They get the whole thing, the economic piece, the social piece. Everything about you as a person is how they model their care. It's a very high standard. But both of them together are going to talk about something that I think a lot of people take for granted, and that's nutrition and how we eat, because everything that we eat goes into the kidney, whether it's operating at pristine condition or not. And it's from that perspective and a lot of humor that they were this morning. So welcome our guests.
I got up a little late this morning, and I hope you don't mind if I eat my breakfast first. So I had to go out to get it. The hotel didn't have this. Does anybody recognize some of this? Oh, now wait a minute. Now wait, this is big breakfast? How about that? No? Oh, I'm disappointed. Nobody likes, well, maybe I better skip breakfast this morning then. I'll just put it away. There's all kinds of good stuff in here, though. Syrup full of sugar, right? Butter full of fat. All right, well, I'm just going to have to put it away, and maybe somebody else will eat it later, but I can't.
I will.
Oh. All right. So, we will. Let's see. Very proud to be here, particularly with Chef O's. AAKP is a wonderful organization, and the patient-centeredness is so important. It's not something we've paid attention to for a long time, and we need to change, and you're changing it, so thank you for that. The kidneys, you all know what they do, but I thought I'd just put them up there. Again, we all have 2 of them. It's amazing how much work they do. They filter 120 to 150 quarts of blood to produce about 1 to 2 quarts of urine. They regulate body fluid. You all know this: sodium, potassium, phosphorus. They get rid of waste, regulate blood pressure, help make red blood cells, which carry oxygen, and they regulate calcium and bone structure. These are really important organs, and we got to take good care of them, right? So nutrition, just how important is it? Does it really matter whether I eat fast food or food that has some ingredients in it that aren't necessarily the best for us? And how should we be thinking about it? Well, I want to make a point. We all think about medical care being able to do so much for us, and health care, you see down there, it's about 15% of our health is due to good health care. Genetics, lifestyle, that's eating at McDonald's for what I wanted to do this morning, but you wouldn't let me. Social determinants of health. If you don't have any resources, if you don't have a place to live, you don't have a job, you're depressed, all those things make a big difference in your health. And I think everybody is becoming more cognizant of how all these things play together. They're so important. Now, I want to make, there's one thing I get across to you today, and I leave you with, and you go home with it. It's this: the food, including beverages, what you drink, you eat every day, is the most important medication you will ever take. You take it 3 times a day, and you've been doing it for as long as you've been alive, at least after you got old enough to eat on your own anyway. And it makes a big difference in our health. And why it's so important is because this is something we can control. We don't have to hurt ourselves. You can't change, I can't change my genes, and you can't change your genes. We got those from our parents and so forth, and from ancestors. But we can control that. The other thing we can do is our physical activity. And depending on, you know, what other health problems you have, there's always something you can do. And our bodies are really finely tuned machines. You put something good in, you get something good out. You know, they have an expression with computers: garbage in, garbage out. Well, we're more complex than most of the computers we use, and the interactions that take place in our body. And again, we have all these things: family, our education, our spiritual beliefs, the economy. All these things make a difference in our health. Psychological factors, that's very important also. So we need to stress the importance of seeking help if you need it. And that goes along with the food, but there's some things you need to do beside just the nutrition. So just remember this: health care is only responsible for a small part, the formal health care that you get. The rest of it, an awful lot of it, is up to you. So, you want fuel that matches the characteristics of your car, right? If you have a very big, delicate engine, you don't put the lowest grade fuel in it, or you don't try to mix it with water, for example. So, you've got a normal engine, and then you have the chronic kidney disease engine. It's not quite the same, so you need to change what you do, because you want maximal performance out of your body's engine. The inputs we have: nutrition, medication, we know about that, the environment, which affects what we do, and again, physical activity. So we need to make some adjustments. And I thought this was a very good article from the Geisinger Clinic in Pennsylvania, where they actually have taken to writing prescriptions for food. And what they've done is to say, you need certain things, and here's the prescription for what you should go out and do. Now, nutrition generally, they're proteins, they're carbohydrates, and fats. So 3 things. And The carbohydrates, glucose, sugar, for example, it's a very complex system we don't need to talk about, but and if it's disordered, if you have diabetes with your kidney disease, you need to take that into account because the glucose metabolism system is very different than it is in a normal person. And it isn't just that your blood sugar is high. There are a lot of other things that are disordered because of that. I would skip that. And what you do, you mix the fuel proportions. You need carbohydrates, you need protein, you need fats, but you need good quantities of those. And so, again, you want to make adjustments for what you have. If you have kidney disease, sometimes the red meats, not sometimes, but the red meats really aren't as good for you as some other sources of protein. Tofu may be good, and so forth. Now, if you look at the world's diet plus versus what we eat here, you see that in the world, people eat much more grain than we do. You see that here. Sugar and fat. Well, USA, we beat everybody in that. We eat more sugar and fat. That's not so good. Meat, dairy, some of the others aren't so different, but I think one of the big things is the grain. And you see where the calories come from. We get our calories from sugar and fat. The rest of the world, a lot of it anyway, is getting it from grain and fiber, some different sources of protein. Compare us to the French, which is something I always like to do. Our portions are always larger than the French. If you look at that hamburger on the bottom, it's one of the most dramatic. It really is a big difference. We drink more Coke. We're definitely on a different path. Now, does all of this really make any difference? A lot of times I hear people say to me, well, look, I'm not going to live forever anyway, so why don't I just eat what I want to do? But the fact is, if you don't smoke, you have a decent level of physical activity, moderate use of alcohol, that's still okay. Fish, not processed meats because you need that less than 1 time a week. Fruit daily, vegetables daily. And you see, if you look, the very healthy versus the very unhealthy mix of these things, it makes a big difference in your survival. So, what are some of those diets that we're talking about? Well, on Okinawa, they eat a lot of sweet potatoes, full of fiber, very important. Chad in Africa, we think sometimes we have the best nutrition, but that's not really true. Again, vegetables, fruits, whole grains, you get the idea. The Barbados diet, which is a mix of the Mediterranean diet, Okinawan, West African, much healthier diet than our usual diet. The Mediterranean diet, a lot of fresh fruits, not a lot of red meat there that's very small, and sweets at the top. Those are the things that are important. Or the hypertension diet called the DASH diet, diet against systolic hypertension. You look at that, again, grains and proteins, vegetables, fruits. I think the lessons are pretty clear. And they don't have to be terrible tasting. They're good examples of this. And does diet really make a difference? There's another way of looking at it. This, again, is from the Geisinger Clinic, where they wrote prescriptions for people. They actually told you what to eat, not as the nutritionist often does in a discussion, but they actually wrote formal prescriptions. They saw a 40% decrease in the risk of death or serious complications when they did this dietary prescription. 80% drop in cost for our pilot patients. I mean, these are huge differences. I think this is a very, very important study. And often these patients were on medications that they no longer needed because they changed the diet. Again, I would make the point, your diet is the most important medication that you take. Now, you can think of some exceptions. I don't want to overstate it, but overall, that's the most important thing you can do. And if you look at the fresh food, the same thing, and you look at some of the things that took place, look at glucose. almost a 27% reduction in glucose just by the diet. This wasn't insulin, it wasn't, a sulfonylurea, it wasn't any of these things. You look at the hemoglobin A1C down by 20%. So if your hemoglobin was 8, what's 20% of that? 1.6 roughly. You're down to below 7 just with diet. So anyway, well, those are some general things. What about the renal diet? Well, we had a workshop, some of you were actually there, Chef O was, where we decided the word diet was a bad 4-letter word. People were a little concerned about that when I said we were going to talk about a 4-letter word in the workshop today, but it turned out all right. Again, food is a medicine. And good nutrition doesn't have to be negative or restrictive for people with kidney dysfunction. What everybody agreed to, and Chef O was there, and Angela, I don't know if she's here today, Angela Davis from New York, it should not be about what you shouldn't eat, but rather what you can eat and enjoy. Take the positive spin on it, turn it around. So, what is a kidney diet? A kidney diet is one that's low in sodium, phosphorus, and protein. It promotes the importance of consuming high-quality protein and usually limits fluids. Some patients may also need to limit potassium and even calcium. But there's a lot of room within that. Be savvy. What are some really good things to eat? Well, here are some things, and you can think of others. Now, I didn't stop just at McDonald's this morning. Let's see. Now, this is not a very attractive food, cabbage, but it's good for you, all right? Blueberries. I hope somebody takes these afterwards. I had a good time at Publix this morning. Olive oil. These are some, you can think of many better things, but at least these red peppers. All right? What's this? Cauliflower. All right. We're getting there. Apples. You get the idea. And that is opposed to, well, some other things. Now, fish is usually good for you, right? Not if it's canned, because it often has a lot of phosphorus in it. So that's something to keep, and if you look at the label, it doesn't say anything about phosphorus in it. So you can't tell. Well, anyway, you get here's some raspberries, good for you. We grow strawberries in the state of Maine, so you should eat those. I know they grow them in California, but at least in Maine, they're good. But they're only good for a very short time in the year. Bananas, they're good for you, right? A lot of potassium. This is what we mean by being a savvy consumer, all right? Well, here's a good one. Oreos. I got to put, I used to love these, but I don't eat them. I can't eat them anymore. So I'm sorry about that. Well, let's see. Meat in a can, good for you? No, you guys are good. We don't need to go through any of this anymore. Garlic, good for you, all right? Well, we'll see what the chef says after, because I'm an amateur, he's the pro. Let me give you one other example. Chips. Hey, now wait a minute. You guys are too quick. It says sea salt.
Yeah. Well,
isn't that better for you? It isn't. Sea salt is just salt with it.
It's salt.
It's a marketing ploy. Yeah, maybe you got it out of the ocean, but there's plenty of sodium in it. All right, well, quickly so I don't take any, you get the idea. AAKP, and the chef is going to talk more about this. I won't. Some things to be cautious about. We talked a little bit about. We all take in far more sodium than we should. That's whether you're healthy or not. It's higher in the United States than a lot of places. And that's all this says. So, you know, you look at it, the person with high blood pressure's got about the same amount of sodium, so we're not that careful. We can do better. Phosphorus. We take in much more phosphorus than we need, and if your kidneys aren't working, that's not good, because that works against your bones. Now, you got to read the labels. That's very important. And then the relatively new label, it's a couple years old, has sodium, carbohydrates. It has more on it, but there's no phosphorus, as I said. That's important. But you need to read this. 230 calories, whatever this is, isn't that good. And the AAKP labels are much better than the FDA-approved labels, all right? So pay attention to AAKP. For example, here are 3 dishes, and you can compare these: fish with leeks, shrimp tacos, Thai shrimp kebabs. It shouldn't be too bad. But the calories are different. But if you look at the phosphorus, for example, fish with leeks has, what is that, 287, and it's only 75 in the shrimp tacos. You see the big difference, and we don't know this stuff. So you really have to be careful. The potassium is huge, 632 milligrams versus 85. Now you're on a low potassium diet, you're in trouble. You see the difference here, but this is a label. This much you can get from a regular label, but the phosphorus you don't get. So you need to be smart about it. Dairy products have a lot of phosphorus. Bakery products. Vegetables aren't so bad. Chicken is very interesting because chicken's good for you, right? Yeah, it is. But if you look at the different preparations in different companies, chicken breast strips, breast nuggets, and so forth, there's very different amounts of phosphorus in those. You've got to be savvy and sharp about it. Phosphate, this is a company that looks at what's in all the food products we have, and sodium phosphate is in almost 8,500 projects. When you add all these up, it's over 1,000 products that we buy normally in the store have phosphate additives. Phosphate is very good for preserving food. They put it in canned food. McDonald's uses it. And, you know, anyway, at this workshop, we all came up, and this is really due to Angela Davis, who said renal nutrition should be cool, funky, fresh, and delicious. And that's what we're calling for, all right? ABCDs of good food, good kidney food. We've got to have access to affordable fresh foods, very important. Yeah. This thing of cabbage is much better for you than green beans in a can. Back to basics. Cooking. Chef's going to tell us how to do that. We should be cooking more on our own. And we need to get the information out to each other in ways we can understand. That's a product we should avoid because nobody else is going to tell us. So no more renal diet. We need to make healthy choices instead of unrealistic restrictions. Good medicine is what we're talking about today. We need more education for all of us. I mean, I'm not smart about the foods I eat. I know that. I could be much smarter. I have to get to Chef O and say, is this something I should eat? And he'll say, no, please. Better access to fresh, healthy food. And we need better federal and state policies because what we want to do is not only deal with ESRD and late stages of CKD, ultimately we want to prevent kidney disease. And one of the things we're doing in New York, and I'll finish up with this, is we have dialysis clinics without walls because they're open to the community. We bring people in for education, for screening. We're trying to make a difference. We're in the schools. We're in the churches. And this is a community of about 300,000 people. And we can all do much more to get this story out about good nutrition because that's really the critical thing to making a difference. If we're going to move upstream, we can do much more by just using better nutrition. Our goal is no more dialysis. I think everybody agrees with that. we'd like to put ourselves out of business in the long run. I don't think it's going to happen too soon, but that's our goal. So, and the partnership has to be with the people we're working with. And hey, we're all patients. So we all need to get together and work to make this world a better place. And that's what's so good about AAKP, because that's what you're doing. The message, we can do this together. So remember, the main lesson here is that what you eat is the most important medicine you're going to take. And with that, I will turn it over to a professional who will tell you the truth about all of this. Chef O.
Thank you, Doctor. You know what? I think I'm done because he said everything you're going to hear me say, so let's cut this quick. Had to go to my files here to pull out what I want to talk to you. First of all, I want to thank the AAKP for inviting me to this event. I didn't know what I was going to be up against, and kind of nervous because this is something that I have always dreamed of, to stand in front of patients, kidney patients, and talk. Most of my speeches that I do across the United States is in front of a lot of just regular people. I traveled to the United States to go to dialysis center. I have been everything from Santa Rosa, California, to Boston, to Orlando, Austin, Texas, up to Salt Lake City and further, where I go into dialysis unit and prepare meals, renal-friendly meals, in front of patients and let them see how it could be done. Then I talk to them. I usually spend 2 days in the unit so I can get both shifts. And when I leave there, my heart is so full of happiness because I have made some people happy because they have seen it, they smelled it, and they see how simple it is to cook at home. And like Dr. Smith said, we have to start cooking more at home instead of buying prepared food. Over my years, let me back up a little bit, tell you who I am first. I'm a 2-time kidney transplant recipient, now 29 years. My first transplant was in 1985, lasted to 2007, just early 2008. Then I got a second transplant, believe it or not, on Friday, January the 13th. Now, if that don't send chills up your back, nothing will. And all my life, I have tried to watch myself. And like the introduction, I always wanted to be a tennis star. And 2 weeks after I won my first major tournament, and I was going to turn pro, I was laying flat on my back with kidney failure. Now, I used to go to the doctor all the time. All the time. Then when I started playing tennis, I kind of slacked off, and I'm running up and down court, spending 4 and 5 days a week, a couple hours a day playing tennis. Well, that dropped to the side, and I wind up having high blood pressure, and boom, bang, there I am. And this was the second time in my life that I thought I can go forward on doing something I wanted to do. As a chef, I always wanted to be on national TV. And even though I did my own TV show in Michigan and had a good successful time, out of 11 years, I won 9 video awards with my TV show, and I'm looking forward to going to national TV. Well, that opportunity came when I got in touch by Chops on Food Channel. They invited me to be one of their contestants on their show, and I signed the papers, got all set up to go, and 2 weeks when I was supposed to be flying off to New York, I had a rejection. My kidney failed, so that's when I said I got to stop planning on big events, because if I do, my kidney's going to fail. So I was kind of nervous about coming here because this is one of the biggest events I've been at. So my kidney's still functioning. What I want to talk to you today about just some simple things about life as a kidney patient. Now, I said I'm a transplant recipient, but I am a kidney patient. A lot of people say when you get a transplant, is that it? No, a transplant is just a cure. It's not, a treatment. I better get that right. It's a treatment, not a cure. And a lot of people think once you get a transplant, it's done. No, you still function as a kidney patient. And as a chef, I turned my life around about 28 years ago and started concentrating more on renal-friendly menus. Some of my menus are in the DeVita cookbook, some is in Fresenius cookbook, and then I myself have over 2,000 recipes myself in my storage that I send out to patients. I'll be handing out my cards at the end of the speech, so if you ever have an idea or you have something you want to do different and you want it renal friendly, send it to me. Now, if you're diabetic, send it to me because I'm working on a cookbook. And in this cookbook, you're going to have renal-friendly item, but at the bottom of the page of the recipe, you're going to be in red. If you're diabetic, take out this, this, and this, and add this. So that way you don't have to worry about getting two cookbooks. You can still be on the same line as a renal patient. The first thing I want to share is taking control of your life. Taking control of your life. I came up with the ABC. I know you came up with the ABCD. I came up with the ABC about being a renal patient and how to be a healthy renal patient. The first of all, 95% of all our decisions in our life is done by attitude. Attitude. You have to change your attitude. I don't care what you have done in life, but when you become a renal patient, you have to change your attitude because this is the way life is going to be for you. For the rest of your life, you're going to be a renal patient. And to be a successful and healthful renal patient, you have to watch what you eat. The rules are out there. Your dietitian talk to you, your social worker talk to you, your doctor talk to you. You have to watch what you eat. What I do is come along and show you how to enhance that cooking. Dr. Smith brought out some good items. Right here, my favorite thing. I call it Oliver oil. You get it? Okay. That didn't go far. Okay, moving on. Yeah. My writer here told me to say that, but I'm not going to use it again. Olive oil. You don't have to go out and buy the extra virgin, all that fancy stuff. Just plain old olive oil. Learn how to incorporate this in your cooking because, one, you're going to saute. You're not going to fry or deep fry, no, you're going to saute stuff. Say you have a piece of chicken you want to cook. How many times have you had chicken and tough on one side, on one end, and tender on the other? Don't sit there and fry it all day. Method of doing a good chicken, a good fish, a good roast is sear it. Sear it means taking an item and brown it on one side real quick. I call it flash cooking. You get your pan of olive oil hot, put it in, get it brown, flip it over, take something like in 20 to 30 seconds, flip it over, put your oven at 375 and put this item in the oven and walk away. Do something else like make your rice or your couscous or your vegetables. You're doing something like leave it in the oven. Then when you take it out of the oven, what this searing does is locks in the flavor and the juices in that item so it won't come running out when it's frying or whatever you're doing with it. It stays in and it's going to make it much tender. Much tender. It's much flavorful. Same way I do it with my fish. If you're going to do fish, is make a fish cook real quick. It's the time element, it cuts it by 5 to 10 minutes because it's going to cook faster. Now, what are you going to do with that fish or chicken when you take it out of the oven? How many of you cannot have alcohol? Is there anyone here that cannot have alcohol? You, okay. I'm going to say alcohol, but we're going to substitute the alcohol which you're going to use is with apple juice. Cooking the fish with apple juice. When you take it out of the oven, take a little apple juice and pour it around that pan. It's nice and hot, and it's going to steam up. Steam up, and let it squish it around. Do that. If you already prepare something, this here, garlic. I use garlic in almost everything I do, but I don't use this. I stopped using this because I used to do my family reunion. My mom always wanted me to come back home and do my family reunion, but I got some fussy aunts. I don't care if I take garlic clove like this, a clove of it and chop it up. I have this one aunt, always get that one big piece in her mouth, and you can hear her scream 10 miles away. So I stopped getting garlic cloves like this and used chopped garlic. Most of your stores go to have a little small bottle in the vegetable department, a jar of chopped garlic. You can keep this garlic for a long time because it's sitting in oil. It has that oil marinade, so you don't have to worry about how long do I have to use this garlic. Put it in your refrigerator. I keep my vegetable creeper down below, and there you go. But I use garlic and a lot of things to keep it flavorful. You can substitute, like I say, the wines that I said with apple juice. I was talking about a meal a dish I do called cranberry rice. Well, I take rice, cook it up, then I take it and spread all the starch out of it so it won't be sticky. And I take that rice after I spray it out in a strainer and get all the starch out of it. I put it back in a saute pan, add about 1/4 to 1/2 cup of cranberry juice, and put some dry cranberries in it, toss it around, and there you go, my cranberry rice. It's flavorful, and it's something different. I have probably 6 different rices that you can make by adding flavor to it. Mandarin oranges. You can't have oranges, but you can have mandarin oranges. You can check with your dietitian. Is there a dietitian here going to dispute me? Oh, you going to dispute me? Okay, thank you. She did dispute me, sorry. And that adds flavor to your food. I talk about A, the attitude. You got to change your attitude. B, believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. This is a challenge to be a kidney patient, a renal patient. Your life is changing. You have to change different things. Believe in yourself that you can go forward and do this. You're going to do this. It's just like somebody telling you can't climb that wall. You can't climb that wall. You look at that wall and say, I can't climb that wall. They said I can't climb that wall, but I'm going to climb that wall. You're going to walk over there and look at that wall. You're going to try to climb it because you believe in yourself you can climb it. Now, I didn't say you can climb it. I say you're going to believe in yourself that you can climb it. You can do anything you want to if you believe in yourself. That's my B. But the biggest one that trying to get through patients is C. Be in compliance. Take your medicine, take your medicine, take your medicine. Go to dialysis. I've heard so many people said, I can't go to dialysis today because I don't feel good. Wait a minute, what kind of line is that? I can't go to dialysis today because I don't feel good, because I didn't eat right last night. I got too much fluid on me. Well, you're going to have more fluid on you, you're going to go to dialysis. But be in compliance. You got to go to dialysis. You got to go. You got to take your medicine. You got to do everything they tell you. Because I have had people get mad at me when I got my second transplant because, one, they missed dialysis once or twice a month. And I said, and I try to explain to them that they're not going to waste their time with giving you a transplant because you're not compliant. Well, I do come most of the time. I said, most of the time you ain't going to get it. You got to go every time, every time. Tips on meals. Tips on meals. There are so many different ways you can prepare for food. In fact, AAKP has a beautiful list of menu items, recipes. There's some on your table. Take a chance and take those with you and look at them and watch them. They have stuff online you can go to, but I just went through these when I first got here and looked at them. They are very nicely done. I don't know who put it together, but it's a great cookbook to go to. And try to learn to change your eating habit. Change your eating habit, folks. There's a lot of food out there. There's a lot of food out there, and you can eat it if you do it right. Now, take in hand, like Dr. Smith showed you. And no, there's a lot of food, but there's certain things you cannot have, and don't try it. Don't try it. You can't get your potassium up too high. This one that was my favorite, banana pudding. I lived on banana pudding, and I just miss it so much. But when I was a patient on dialysis, couldn't have it. And I said, no, chocolate, oranges, tomatoes. And so you have to, again, go back to that C thing. Meal planning. How many of you sat down and go through your weekly menu, weekly activities and plan your meals out? when you go grocery shopping, you know what you're going to do. Start doing meal planning. Plan your week out. You're going to have chicken on this day. You're going to have fish on this day. You're going to have beef on this day. You're going to see how you're going to prepare it. And say, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do with this beef this way. I'm going to write Chef O. You're going to email me and say, hey, Chef O, I need a recipe for some beef I got. And I'm going to send it back to you. Just plan your meals. A lot of time when I do healthy seminars and go in people's home, I get invited. There's 3 insurance companies I work for that I go into homes and show them how to prepare their kitchen. The first thing I do is go in your spice cabinet. I get a trash can or a trash bag, go with me, because I know anything that got S-A-L-T at the end of it's going to get thrown out. Garlic salt, sea salt, celery salt, Lowry seasoning salt. Anything that you have in your covers that got the word salt in it. And like I say, we have a problem with mental stuff. People can sit there and just brainwash us by saying, eat sea salt, eat sea salt, eat sea salt. It's better than regular salt, sea salt. And you go out and buy sea salt, it's salt. It is salt. It's just come from the sea. It's not having anything put in it, not from the cage. It's salt. So if you can, start trying to work salt out of your eating habits and out of your cooking. Because there's so many herbs and spices out there. Basil, thyme, oregano, sage. There's so much rosemary. There's so much you can do to enhance your cooking. Now, again, you may not say, I don't know how to use herbs and spices in my cooking. That's when you contact me. That's when you contact me. Don't be afraid. Every day, in fact, since I've been here, I done sent out 32 recipes from being here because people have wrote me from all over the United States. I have 2 people from England have wrote me. In fact, let me tell you a tip. I got in touch by the England transplant unit there, and I'm going to be working with Jamie Oliver. Any of you know Jamie Oliver? All right, I am going to be working with Jamie Oliver. We're putting together some major renal meals together for not only England, but the United States. And I was shocked when I got that. But these are the things that I get from all over the United States and then some parts of the world where people write me and say, what can I have for this evening? Not only meats, I do vegetables, I do starches, I do desserts. And that's the other area Dr. Smith was talking about. We discussed when I was in New York, is getting rid of a word. Now, you as diabetics, you have to stay and do your diet. You have to do your diet. That's unnecessary. You have to do your diet. But my biggest thing is weight loss, word diet. Dr. Smith knows that's my biggest goal, to get rid of that word. I want to get rid of the word. They say, well, what are you talking about, getting rid of the word diet? Because I don't believe in it. Because you go on a diet, you stay on a diet, you lose your weight on the diet, you go off your diet, and what happened every time you get off your diet? Yep, and you come back quicker because your body now have went through a shock stage of not eating. Don't do that. Learn to live a healthy lifestyle. Everything that's out there is edible. Everything you can eat. It's how you prepare it, what time you eat it, because you sit there and eat a steak and something at 10 o'clock at night and you wake up and there's 5 pounds back there behind you. Do you wonder why it's back there? Because you're eating too late at night. I had always said, every restaurant I've worked in, I stopped cooking at 9 o'clock. You shouldn't be eating after 9 o'clock. Most people want to go out and eat a big meal at 9:30, 10 o'clock. You shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do that. You should look at, and the biggest thing is portion control. Portion control. I am a big person against buffets. I don't like buffets because most people do, and most people do at buffet. They overload their plate and try to eat everything on the plate. You eat to get full. You eat to get full. And just because you want to get full and eat half of the buffet up, that ain't the way to do it. You know how much you should eat. So what should you do when you go out to eat? That's not a problem we have at renal patient. You walk in a restaurant, the first thing you should do is tell your waiter or wait staff, whoever, that you want no salt in your meals. Let them know you don't want no salt if possible. And I know as a chef, I get requests that I have everything from no salt, certain wines, or they got certain allergies, and we adjust to that. So don't be afraid to say, I don't want any salt in on my item or anything like that. Let them know, because you think, now, for those fast food people, you can do the same thing, but try to cut back on that. When you go shopping, pick up your can or pick up your item, pick up whatever you have, and read the labels. If you got more than 2 words you cannot pronounce, don't buy it. Don't buy it. Please don't. Don't buy it, because when I'm getting ready to take a course in chemistry, and they have chemistry courses for chefs now. It's not all about turning on the fire, put olive oil in the pan and cook it. It's just temperature-wise, what you do. You're not supposed to cook a beef well done. You're not supposed to cook a beef well done, because if you cook a beef well done, you're taking out all the flavor, all the chemical enhancements out of it. Boiling versus steaming. How many of you boil your vegetables when you cook it? You get a thing of water, you throw your vegetable in there and boil it when you think it's nice and done. There you go. Steam it. If you boil it, you just will drink the water that you was boiling it in, because all your nutrition, all your vitamins and everything that you just boil went into that water. Steam it. Go out and get your little steamer and get the pan hot, throw it in there. Green beans, asparagus, they come out so crispy if you steam them. It don't take you not even, 5 minutes? I know asparagus don't even take 5 minutes if you do it right. Steam your vegetable. And you can do it also with other items. Just look and read it up. Read. But when you go out and buy stuff, read labels. Read labels, because it just gets me. I'm in a battle right now with the FDA. They don't like me. I wonder why. But I am big on frozen meals. Frozen meals, TV dinners, you have your these diet dinners, so if you got to run somewhere, you can take it, throw it in the microwave. Have you ever read the ingredients label on the back of how many sodium? I can tell you, I'm not going to say her name, but it's the one that's a diet. She has over 800 to 900 milligrams of sodium in her diet meals. Don't even think about picking up a Hungry Man meal or Mrs. You-know-who Salisbury steak meal. Those anywhere from 1,200 to 1,400 milligrams of sodium in it. And they wonder why people are obese, why they have high blood pressure, why they have diabetes. And I try to explain that to the Food and Drug Administration. You want us to cut back because you tell me you don't have enough money to help these people live. Why don't you cut back on in the sodium? I asked them by the year 2020 if they can cut out sodium in frozen meals by 25%. 25%. That's all I asked them to do. And you think I had asked them to give me their arm, because all you have to do is change your recipe formula and then you can get it done. You can get it done. So again, if you want to stay, just watch what you do. And the biggest thing that I'm going to leave with on my thing I'm going to last with, the last thing is, I don't believe in the word diet. And like I say, I don't believe in the word diet. So if you want to change your lifestyle, change it. Just say, I'm going to live a healthy lifestyle. So you can lose your weight, stay healthy, and you stay healthy for the rest of your life by what you eat. Don't go through these little 2 and 3 weeks or a couple months of changing it up, because everything we eat is almost good for you if you do it right. I am a big fan of fresh vegetables, but if you're like in an area like I am in Michigan, we don't get too much fresh stuff because of the weather. So we had to go to frozen things, frozen green beans, frozen items. You can do those and do them just as good if you prepare them right, put the right seasoning in there. One of the main seasoning I love is Mrs. Dash all-purpose seasoning. Now I understand McCormick also has an all-purpose seasoning. Those are two of the main seasonings I use. I just had a guy approach me the other day that he won a cooking competition with, because he did some grilled asparagus and only grilled it with Mrs. Dash. That's all he did. He just grilled his asparagus with and put Mrs. Dash on it. because it is an all-purpose seasoning. No MSG, no salt, but it's very flavorful. Watch how much you put on there. Learn how to do chopped fresh vegetables, how to do it. If you don't know what go with what, write me, and I would tell you how to do rosemary and thyme and sage and how to put those in the meals and make them taste good. You should always. And also, what I want to make sure you know is try to live your life to the fullest. We are recipients. Our life is based on what we do every day and how we do it. And some of us cannot do what others do, but you have to try to live your life to the fullest. I'm an athlete. I compete in the transplant Olympics game. I've been competing with the transplant team, with Team Michigan and Team USA for ever since 1987. I've been to 9 countries competing, and since 1987 I have won 31 medals. 19 of them are gold. Because my attitude and what I can do, I have the way of doing it. I go out and being a big advocate about organ donation, because I'm able to do it. If there's something you can do, go out and talk about it. Talk to people. Let them know you're a kidney patient. And who knows, that one person you may talk to may be a perfect match for you. And that is happening so much lately, so much, where people are meeting people who want to give a kidney and being their perfect match. But the main thing I want to let you, eat healthy. Eat healthy. Watch what you eat. Watch your portion control. Get rid of the salt. I don't care what you do, get rid of the salt. Some of you looking at me pretty strange, I know. I had an 88-year-old lady said she'd been eating salt all her life, and she said she can't do it. I said, do you want to make 89? She said, yes, get rid of the salt. Get rid of salt. Well, Dr. Smith and I, we're going to open up the floor for questions right now. So I ask if you come up, approach the mic, and let us know what you like. But while people are coming up, I want to do one last thing here before we finish. And you guys are going to make my selfie today, okay? What I want you to do, I want everybody behind me to say, hello to Grand Rapids. Hold on just a minute. I'll tell you on 3, okay? Wave at me and say, hello, Grand Rapids. Start waving.
Grand Rapids.
You guys are great. Question, come on up. Oh, we're going to take the mic round to you.
I have a general question as to the difference between the chopped garlic and garlic powder, because oftentimes I'm told that the powder is better than, you know.
Anytime you use a powder, that is a artificial. What's more pure than garlic itself? That is a powder that's been made by adding garlic flavor to it. It's just like having a protein drink. What is better for you, a protein drink or a piece of chicken?
So you're saying, because I eliminated salt a long time ago,
okay,
but I thought I was doing something when I was choosing garlic powder. So no, in other words, you're saying fresh is just the way to go.
Because anytime you use anything fresh, it's just like taking them, say you go out and buy thyme, and you got a dry thyme. Take some dry thyme, match it to fresh thyme that you chopped up, and what it's going to taste like, much better, and it use half as much. Use half as much. So when you're using the fresh garlic, chopped garlic over the garlic powder, you're only going to need like less than a teaspoon of it, and it's going to add just as much flavor. No, go ahead and ask. Dave, could you give her a mic again just one more time?
I'm sorry. Can you, now the chopped garlic, is that bought, like shelf, or is that you buy it, chop it, and then store it?
In the vegetable department. You go in the vegetable department, they have chopped garlic, they have pesto, they have crushed garlic. I like the chopped garlic better, because you can use it better. They also have roasted garlic. If you're into cooking real fancy, you can use roasted garlic. It makes the food taste a lot better. But yeah, don't use the powder. Don't use the powder. It's just like it just, it's not real. It's just like, okay, I'm gonna ask you something. Can I ask you one more question?
Yes, sir.
What is better for you, powdered milk or fresh milk?
Of course, definitely fresh milk. I don't do no powder or anything.
Okay,
That's
what you just say, you don't use powder or anything. You just changed it.
You just changed it for me, too.
Oh, okay, all right, well, I'm good. There you go. Yes, Dave.
Good morning, Chef Oliver.
Good morning, Dave.
I always try to make my breakfast my biggest meal of the day and also as healthy as possible, but every time I try to select a protein, I find out that it's the wrong one. The last one was turkey sausage, so I know anything that's processed is not good. So what I'm trying now, along with my egg substitute, is Morningstar Farms, their sausage, which has no animal protein.
Right.
What's your opinion about that?
Mainly I love going to fresh. I love going to meat markets. Is there a meat market in your area?
I can definitely find one.
You can find one. They can make it especially for what you need. I do it. There's a store that I work with in Grand Rapids that they can make anything that I want and make it. It's not processed. They make it by grinding up their own pork, adding the ingredients to it, and making what. And if it's turkey, they have ground turkey. They have ground chicken. And if you want to go ground veal, they got that. They can make veal sausage. They can make any sausage you want, but stay away from the processed food itself.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you. One of the things, when you go out and buy spices, if you're going to use dry spices, get the small container. Myself, if I'm going to use a dry spice, I use the bigger containers. And I do not do it that often because I use fresh. I go in the store, they have the little rosemary and thyme hanging by the vegetable, get those. Now, if you don't use it all and you say, I don't want to throw this away, put it in your freezer and freeze it in a Ziploc bag. Put it in a Ziploc bag and freeze it, because you can always put it in soup.
You can do that with the garlic too?
Huh?
You can do that with garlic too?
You don't have to do anything with garlic, because if it's in oil, it's going to stay. If it's in oil and sealed, it'll stay for almost a year.
We was talking about fresh. You told us not to take away the powder. I'm like, Della, girl, I had garlic powder. I thought I was doing something. Nah, I know I'm not.
But the chopped garlic is in a jar and is in oil when you buy it.
Okay.
That can stay for over a year in your refrigerator.
Oh, so okay, I was using that, then I went to the garlic powder. So now
No. Go back to the real stuff, please.
The air fryers. How do you feel about the air fryers?
Air fryers?
Yes.
I'm old school. I don't like them. But a lot of people do use them, because there's one of our television station used me to do the try it and buy it thing, like when that first came out, and we match it with the way I do things, and I wound up winning, and we wrote the company, and they said it was wrong because they used a professional chef, because someone like you can use it and get away with it. I don't like them because I'm a professional.
Okay, that's cool.
But it's just like that, because, I mean, what's the one now that you can put a frozen chicken, a zucchini, and a potato on at the same time, and you cook it all the same? Come on now. You're going to put a frozen chicken and a zucchini in the same item and cook it, and they both?
No.
Okay.
Okay, you talked about fresh sausage. What seasonings will I use? Because I buy the ground turkey, I buy the ground chicken. You know, sometimes you want that little kick with that sausage in the morning. I know it's sage or what gives
fennel.
that?
Fennel.
Fennel?
Fennel.
Okay, and what else?
I'm going to say this, but don't get mad at me. White pepper. White pepper.
And white pepper with the fresh chicken. And now I got me some chicken.
And add a little thyme to it.
A little thyme, and then I got some chicken sausage patty.
Yes.
And I don't have to buy the other kind that they...
No. Okay. You can make your own sauce. I love making turkey burgers. And I make turkey burgers like that. I put a little ranch dressing. If you want to add something to your chicken, to add a little ranch dressing to the chicken when you make it, and breadcrumbs. And I use Italian breadcrumbs to give it a little bit more flavor when you're going to make these burgers. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Chef, one thing, my mother was a chef.
Oh.
And I guess
Put the mic up closer, sorry.
my mother was a chef, and I guess I learned a little bit from her. But one of the things she used to do with her fresh herbs, not only did she freeze them, but she would freeze them in ice cubes.
See,
and then use them to steam with as well.
That's a company that does it. I work for a company, well, they were wanting to sponsor my show, and they sell those cubes where they take them and they put them, grind them up and mix them with water, and they freeze them until you just drop everyone in there.
She did that because from Pennsylvania, you can only, at the time, you could only grow things.
Yes, at a certain time.
So that's what she did. And doctor, thank you so much for mentioning the Okinawan diet.
Okay.
I had the privilege of living in Okinawa for 4 years, and I couldn't believe some of the stuff that they used to bring in for potlucks, my Okinawan staff members. But oh my gosh, I would go back in a minute, and I can't eat Japanese or Chinese food in the States anymore because it's not the same.
It's not, yeah.
No. There's someone in the back, in the corner there. The guy, get with his hand to your right.
I think we have time for one more after Dr.
One
Keller.
more.
Is there one over here? Okay,
I'm going to be around outside if you want to come out and ask questions or talk to me afterward. I'd be willing to.
So I was wondering, do you find the USDA nutrient database to be helpful when you're planning your meals?
Do I find out what about the ESP?
The USDA nutrient database?
Well, I can't talk too much. I don't know if they got a spy in here, but I don't say too much. But I don't understand them because I was told after I got back I was told that I'm stepping on toes. Do I know how many lobbyists that are in Washington now pushing salt and sugar in items? How many lobbyists that are trying to get these companies, more and more companies to use sea salt? That's why you see sea salt. I was getting some ice cream the other day. I wanted some ice cream. There's a salty caramel ice cream. There is a company just opened up in my town called Salty Cupcake. All the icings are full with salt. And so I don't think no one's taking the health issues seriously in this country about certain things. You look at the people who eat TV dinners, pot pies, frozen meals, or in the middle to lower income people. Who are the top obesity, high blood pressure, diabetes people, or the middle to low class people? These are the people who don't have time or don't have the financial to go out and go to restaurants or sit at home and eat. They buy TV dinners. And these TV dinners and pot pies and all that stuff is just killing people. And I just don't like it. And I have been speaking and speaking and speaking and talking to senators, congressmen, and stuff like that. We have to make a change, and they have to open up. I know the ESP, the Food and Drug Administration is trying to do the best for it, but how can they talk out of one side of their mouth and then talk out of the other side of their mouth about health issues and financial issues about people? And we have to do something about it. I hope that, catch me after we get done and we'll talk. But I think we keep doing what we're doing. Same thing like when you guys go to Washington talking about bills passing to help pay for this and that. I remember in 1986, I went to Washington, sat with a young senator named Albert Gore and another senator from Massachusetts, Ted Kennedy. And I sat with them, and I started preaching then about costs for anti-rejection. That's when we had Sandoz and the liquid anti-rejection drug. We sat and we talked about, and we had talked about the price that it costs for dialysis and the price for a transplant recipient and how they could live better and be a better life if they get transplanted. And now I hear what you guys are doing, and I saw that video. I watched that day when you were sitting in that courtyard. It was beautiful and very touching. And I said, we are making a move. So thank you. Yes, one more, and we're going to.
Okay. There's a growing number of products out there on the shelf now, pasta products and different rices, you know, the vegetable pasta, whole wheat, low carb. What are your thoughts and recommendations about the best, healthiest choices that we can make?
Read the label. That's because
And look for...
Look at what's in it. If it got so much flour, so much, then when you start getting in all those different big words, if it got a whole bunch of big words, don't buy it. Just match and look what's in it. I don't like a lot of food coloring dye and stuff and artificial flavoring for stuff. There are some good pastas out there. There are some good, same way, shell wraps. There's a good dough. Just read the label and make a decision on it, because that's a fast-growing industry right there.
Well, you mentioned doing a lot of cooking with rice. Do you use white rice?
I use white and brown. I use basmati. I use jasmine. So I just all of what I do rinse my rice after I cook it to get the starch out of it so it won't get sticky and as much flavor and much eat. The rice we had last night here with the fish, with the meal, I'm going to give it 110 plus because I love the way it was sitting on the plate and it wasn't gummy.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Well, anything for Dr. Smith? Don't ask me.
No, he's the expert.
I mean, he did a good job too. So I think if we can ask him. I want to again thank the AAKP for having this event. I think it goes a long way. So many of you asked me how come I didn't cook nothing this time. Maybe we can work that out next time by me doing a little demonstration, and then you can smell and see how stuff are done. Because that's what I think, if you see it and smell it, you're going to like it. And trying to get the garlic through, just how much garlic to put in anything, and then the olive oil. This is something. But I do have a product that I used on the show was called Oliver oil. We never use olive oil. We always use Oliver oil. So I hope I can bring some of those bottles with me next time if I come. So thank you. Enjoy the rest of the event, and I hope God bless each and every one of you on your way back home today. All right? Thank you.
Great. Good job.
We're going to take a short break to get the next panel ready, and then we'll be back shortly to wrap up the last session.